articles and soften the image and so on and so forth?
Sure. So my involvement was, or has been, producing the forward for the heritage piece. And it was interesting because Jane asked me to do it and I was just like, sure. And then I read the different contributions and I just went through such a range of emotions. Really getting kind of people talking about their journeys, spaces of resistance, experiences of oppression, ways that people were defining need. I was really struck by how little we talk about aspiration. And in my office today we were talking about aspiration and two of the young women said to me, you know, we're not that keen on that word because David Cameron's claimed it. And it sent me somewhere else in my head. But I then, you know, I thought about how difficult it is for us to imagine a world free of homophobia. How difficult it is. So what we do is we too often relate to ourselves as social problems because that's how we've been defined. And so it was, for all intents and purposes, it was a really short piece, but it took me ages to write because I found myself hit by all those emotions and I knew that I was putting something of myself in there that very often doesn't make it into pieces of writing outside personal writing. And so it's quite important and I felt really privileged to be doing the piece. I was also struck by how many stories remain untold, how there are activists that we've lost along the way, in terms of people just being burnt out, really, really tired, really fed up, just being in that space of we can't do it anymore, and we don't hear those voices anymore, but also how very few spaces we have to help to heal those broken hearts, because actually when you're doing equalities-based work, the personal is the political. It's not this thing that you switch off when you go home. And it's raw and challenging and sometimes really distressing, as well as full of amazing highs, and if you're fortunate, you know. And for me, sometimes in my work, I experience these just wonderful highs, but there is something about us being able to break it down a bit where we do a little bit of healing within this work. Not as some fluffy, airy-fairy thing, but creating spaces where people can experience being held. And so in reading through each piece, that I suppose those were the sounds that kept coming through to me. The need to create spaces like this where people experience space, where you're allowed to talk about need as defined by self, but you're also allowed, you're given permission, you're supported in creating vision and going, well, what would it be like if, took the lid off, what would it be like? And when we speak of us, who are we speaking of? Is it us, or is it your experience as a man versus my experience as a woman? You know, how are we being represented? So it's a short but complex and really raw piece as well, is what I say. That was a very long answer, wasn't it? It came from my heart.
I think that art does have to come from that place, because then I'm not sure if you know it's fakes and that stuff. It's going to come from that place that's quite visceral, quite real. Because actually your emotions are there. They're just there. I think for me, and part of the creative process is about saying, this is what I feel and think, knowing that people then could then misuse that and abuse that as well. But then I think